Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we finally got Brawl Talk, and I'm going to break it down for you guys. We've got 9 Hypercharges to go through, 2 new Brawlers, 2 Brawler reworks, a couple of balance changes sprinkled in there, new record system, and a ton more in this update. So the other thing I won't be looking at is skins. So let's just jump into the Hypercharges first and foremost. That was one thing that definitely caught my eye. So the first one is with Lumi's. Lumi's Hypercharge extends her super, so it has an extra stun either side, so an extra stun circle. This seems pretty good. It's not anything like crazy broken, but Lumi is a very strong brawler. She's going to be able to cycle through to her Hypercharge pretty easily, and if she doesn't really receive many nerfs, it's just going to make her even better. I mean, I'm hoping she receives some type of nerf, right? So next up, we've got Doug. So Doug has a Hypercharge which his allied teammates, when they're Hypercharge supered, mimics Doug's attacks. So I'm not too sure. It's hard to see with the Edgar, so I'm not too sure whether you can just shoot your normal main attack as well as Doug's attack. That would be pretty broken, or it's just more so like literally your next main attack just turns into Doug and you start healing and you start dealing some good damage as well. This could be really good paired with assassins, but obviously wouldn't make sense with like snipers if you can't shoot as Piper and then Doug attack at the same time. That'll be really weird. It reminds me of the RT glitch, if you remember that. This Hypercharge is Kit's Hypercharge. With Kit's Hypercharge, it looks like when you jump on top of someone, looks like the range is longer. I'm not too sure about that, but it does bounce the on ball when you're attached to someone, and you heal your teammates for a lot more. And then with the normal super, you don't want to jump on top of someone like an enemy, because you can actually stun them when you miss. So that makes it so you can attack whilst they're stunned, whilst of course normally you can't when you're attached onto someone. So that Hypercharge looks very, very strong. RT's Hypercharge makes it so when you split with your Hypercharge super, there's a bunch of like surround damage, but they all like 700 damage per time it hits somebody, but it's in like a 360 degree, but it's in the shape of a cross, if you get what I mean, and it goes clockwise. And every single time you you hit someone, I believe it marks them as well. So first they'll do 700 damage and then 2100. It's just a lot of damage, a lot of radius, like a big radius. It looks really, really strong. I think I'd be very scared of this one. Of course, the biggest weakness is you don't actually use your super too much offensively with ulti, so maybe you can start using it more offensively with this Hypercharge. Next, we've got Chuck's Hypercharge super. So with Chuck's Hypercharge super, he will spray out smoke around him, dealing some extra damage, but it's only 218 damage per hit, so I don't think that's too strong. I think the strongest thing about it by far is that you have unlimited range with your next pole dash. So especially when you just respawn, you can have like a really good setup, or even in heist you could do like a really toxic setup where you can hit the safe like maybe 2 or 3 times with one super. And then if you have a Hypercharge super, you can just go from spawn all the way up to enemy safe. Yeah, I think this could be really toxic. There's definitely some cool tech to have with this one. Shade's Hypercharge is every single main attack within your Hypercharge super duration will deal the critical damage, which when you actually add on the Hypercharge damage on top of this is 4k damage with every single swipe. So this is going to be very, very, very strong, by the way, mainly because I guess it's going to pair with the gadget as well that extends his attack range. Yeah, I'm scared of Shade meta. I think this could be one thing that catapults him up right at the top of the meta for sure. He's just going to burst down people so quickly. Next up, we've got Mo. So Mo's super is actually much faster, so it reminds me of Lily's super, but the main takeaway from it is that the Driller has a longer range, so his super drill, which you don't actually use too much with Mo, and it lasts longer. So I don't think that's actually going to impact a whole ton. I think it might be pretty cool to make some good plays with it, because the Driller looks very, very fast with the Hypercharge speed on top of it. I just think it's more so you're going to catch opponents by surprise very fast with how quick you can dash onto them, and just going to deal more damage. So Hypercharge damage is going to be pretty good. So it's going to help Mo become a lot more meta. Draco's is next, and it looks by far the most broken. Draco's absolutely going to be the best brawler in the game, in my opinion. Draco's Hypercharge was the one that they pretty much leaked themselves when they did some like conference talk, but it's longer and a wider super fire breathing, whatever you want to call the main attack. The main attack is it's fast, it's literally longer and wider. It's a lot more and a lot easier to hit, and you get more flames as well. So it just flames everywhere. You're just going to burst down people much better from a longer distance and up close as well. If you have more flames, that means more damage, right? yeah, it's just broken. I can't even get my words out because of how strong I think Draco's going to be in this next meta. And the last one is Bonnie's Hypercharge. So Bonnie's Hypercharge stuns when you first jump, I believe, and then when you impact a brawler, you stun them as well. So this will really help confirm kills with Bonnie, but also really help, say, if a Buzz or an assassin gets on top of you, which normally counts as Bonnie, the Hypercharge will help give you a little bit of breathing space, and it also spits out a bit of damage as well, 325 damage. Just sounds like a lot of damage here. So the ones that I'm really scared about, I'm really scared of Dracos, I'm kind of scared of Shades. RT's looks pretty funky, Kits looks pretty funky. I mean, all of these look really, really strong. I don't actually think there's really one weak one. I'd say the weakest is Lumi, but still, Lumi is such an OP brawler. Now let's go through some update information. So there's a Trophy Road rework, and there's a new kind of system in the game called Records. So Trophy Road, I don't think it's too important for, well, myself, but it might be important for you guys. So Trophy Road has been extended to 10k, and there's like some big lore around Star Park, which is actually really hype. I think the UI for this looks absolutely clean, by the way. I think, well, I just reached 100k for the first time, but as a max player, I won't be getting any good Hypercharge. I mean, actually, with the new Hypercharge coming out, we'll save a little bit of cash, but you get a Hypercharge, I believe, every 1000, looks like, some extra legendary stops. I just think it looks a lot more cleaner. You can now get brawlers again from Trophy Road, which I just think it's really going to help. I think the newer players, right, it's just going to help them and want them to play Brawl Stars more, which I'm excited for. We want more players and more retention in players. It just looks really cool, looks really clean. I'm hoping there's some more lore behind it. They didn't really show a lot of information behind that, but of course, make sure to subscribe for all future sneak peek information, because I'm hoping there's a lot more to it. But there's a lot of like different themes in Star Park. I'm excited. I like the lore behind Star Park. And then we go into Records. So Masteries, if you guys didn't know, has been deleted and it's been replaced with Records. So at first this looks pretty confusing, but I think this might be pretty hype. So with Records, there's a lot to it. So to begin with, Records, it's like a quest in a way. So the beginner ones are like you win 20 games with a brawler, and then when you unlock that one, you get some record points, and that gives you record score, as you can see at the top. And then with the amount of record score you increase your record level. So it sounds confusing, but you just get points when you achieve a quest essentially, and then you rank up the more records that you do. So the beginner ones look pretty simple, like win 20 games of brawler, win 100 games, and then win 300 games and you get a brawler title. I'm not too sure whether that's a lot. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but I don't think it's too bad, and especially because there's no like mastery cap now, especially for the hardcore grinders. You know, there's not going to be many people that do this, but for the pro players, they'll be sitting there 16 hours a day and they won't be capped. They can get as many record points as possible. So I'm excited to see who completes this first. You've also got some records around brawlers supers. So for example, there is one with like Colt in Showdown where you deal 15,000 damage with one Colt super. I've also seen this in 3 versus 3 as well. Looks like there's a lot of diversity with his records, which I'm excited about. It's going to take a lot of depth and a lot of grinding to really complete all of these. It sounds pretty difficult though. Showdown 1, I'm not too sure how I feel about that. I mean, actually, 15,000 damage with one Colt super is not too bad in Showdown, because you can get this through cubes and whatever. Yeah, not the end of the world. Also, there's one where if you have to defeat every single brawler in solo Showdown to complete the record. So if they're going to like add really like difficult ones, I'm excited for that, because again, you want a grind in Brawl Stars. You want something to always grind for in a game. If it feels like there's nothing to grind for, then you're not going to want to play the game, right? Another one is if you earn star player 500 times, you get a legendary star drop, which is pretty cool. There's one where you have to stun 3 enemies with 1 Frank super 2 times in the same game, which is kind of insane. And then there's a bunch of other ones. There's like ones as well, which I've seen towards the end, which I nearly missed out on, is with records, you can get them for collecting like cosmetic items, which is so good for me. That's probably the most exciting thing about the update for me. You can get records for collecting pins, sprays, player icons, titles, skins, etc. So especially for people that are collectors like me, I pretty much got everything inside of a game except for that obey pin, which will always elude me. But yeah, that's pretty exciting. And then there is one that you can take down 3 brawlers in 5 seconds with Edgar. So there's just a lot of records to go through. So I'm excited for this. It's going to be a lot of mastering. I think there's going to be so many depths and layers to this, I'm hoping anyways, which will just make you'll always be trying to grind towards something. Like Mastros was cool, but it wasn't a lot of depth to it. This looks like there's so much depth to it, which will add a lot of endgame content for these players, which we've been screaming out for. I'm really liking this. Honestly, Trophy Road rework's going to help the newer players. Record's going to help the newer players, but also really help the endgame players. There's a lot more substance to this game now. So now let's go over to 2 new brawlers, starting off with Ali, who's the mythic brawler. I think she is coming into the update first, and she completes the Swamp of Love trio. So Ali, first and foremost, has 8,200 HP, so that is pretty on the tanky side, to be honest, and deals 2,600 damage, which again is definitely on the really high side. Bit scared of this one. So with Ali, she jumps when she's in bushes and water. She can go over water, considering she's a stealthy assassin brawler, which is scary. I know Shade can do that as well, but very, very scary. And she dashes when she's on land. So I think this is a really, really cool aspect about her. So whenever an opponent is weak, she is enraged. So when you're enraged, it looks like the dash is actually longer. I'm not too sure whether they said that, but it does look like so. But when Ali is enraged, when near brawlers with low HP, the lower the health, the faster she moves as well. So also, again, just really, really cool. She's going to be able to take down those low HP brawlers pretty fast. So it's kind of like a stalker mechanic. I mean, she literally, they did name her as like a stalker. Also, her super looks like it gives her invisibility or some type of stealth mechanic, which is pretty interesting. And her attacks actually scale, dealing more damage to brawlers with more HP. So this reminds me of Colette, basically, in a way. So Frank, when he's full HP, you can deal 5,200 damage with your next attack. And then brawlers that are lower in HP, but even around like 4,000, you deal about 3,800 damage. So considering her main attack damage is 2,600, this is a considerable amount and looks very, very strong. So all things considered with this new brawler, don't know whether I missed out on anything else, but she's a stealthy assassin that can switch between different ways of attacking depending on your environment. She can go over water, she can go invisible, and she can deal a crap ton of damage. I mean, most assassins do like the DPS factor, you know, like Miko, for example. So it looks like they're kind of taking this into consideration with this new brawler, and you're able to actually deal a lot of damage to high HP brawlers. So I think that this new brawler, it just has to be at least 8 it. Like, I know we're already like talking about how strong the brawler will be, but they've got to be very, very strong to have all of these mechanics in the game. I'll be very, very surprised if they was a minimum 8 it. It just looks so, so strong. It also looks very fun though. We've got to take that into consideration. So yeah, excited for Ali. So now moving into the second new brawler, which is called Trunk. He's an epic tank, and his main attack is basically like Jackie's, but with a little bit of added depth. So his main attack can deal from 2,500 damage upwards of 3,640, which I saw. So the further away the enemies are from the center of the spin, the more damage is dealt from them. So it looks like there's like 2 layers to the attack. It looks like there's a big circle and then like a little one around it, and depending on if they're on the literal edge of it, it looks like it can deal 3,640. So basically like a reverse Doug, I believe, from what I can see. It sounds very confusing. It looks a little bit off. Maybe I'm just over confusing things, but anyways, he's got a new trait in the game. So with his main attack, he throws around these ants, and he can gain movement speed and attack speed whenever he's nearby them. He also throws them around when he supers, and it also looks like the ants deal 300 damage to enemies, and it looks like it also removes them from the floor when the enemies go over them. So you can remove this so you can stop Trunk from getting the additional movement speed and attack speed, but then you're also being dealt damage. So this ramps up. I know 300 damage doesn't feel like a lot, but if there's so many ants around the map, you know, you're taking like upwards of like 2-3k damage if you're trying to remove all these ants and you're trying to take him down. So one star power, they did say he uses the ants to reduce enemy brawler damage. So I'm not sure if they're nearby the ants, then it reduces damage. I'm guessing because if you step over them, it looks like it removes. I don't know. There's a lot to be decided. So super as well dashes towards enemies and leaves a trail of ants behind him. So it looks like it deals a lot of damage when you go through the opponent. It looks like it kind of slows down when you go through the opponent as well, or that's just always his super. So a tank that can dash like that, we've seen with Ollie, it looks like a very, very strong thing to have. Yeah, I think this could be really, really strong. I'm a little bit worried though because of the main attack mechanic. If he has no way to like speed up with a gadget or any way of healing up, I don't know whether he's gonna completely suffer, but at the same time, that's a lot of damage being scaled up, and it could add a lot of like area control on top of this. A tank with area control could be pretty dangerous at the same time. So yeah, all things considered, these two new brawlers look really cool mechanically. They look like they fit into the game really well. I think some incredible design around these both, adding something we've really not seen in Brawl Stars. So I'm excited for both of these two new brawlers. Now we're going to be moving on to 3 balance changes which I've seen with the Brawl Talk. I didn't really want to go too in depth and look through every single pixel, so I might have missed a couple, but here's 3 that I noticed. So first off, we've got Crow. I've noticed this in multiple clips. You literally couldn't miss it. So Crow now has 5,600 health. He used to have 4,800, so that's a 17% buff to Crow. This is going to be really good. He already seen quite a, not a high play rate, but he's seen a lot more play in like a pinhole punt and a few other situations in pro play. So this is just going to allow him to thrive a lot more in the meta. I'm excited to see where he fares off right now. And then we've seen another buff with Rose. We've seen multiple instances where her punches deal 1,000 damage. I knew that was wrong straight away, or like wrong from the build that we play. She does 920 damage right now, so it's a 9% attack damage buff for Rosa. I think this is absolutely huge. So many brawlers are receiving HP and damage buffs over time, and Rosa was just not receiving any of them, so of course she fell off on the meta. In 1v1 versus tanks now, she's going to be very good. She's finally going to be able to counter Buster and Ash again. And with the final balance change I saw is with Ems. So I saw her dealing 1,120 damage, which I knew straight away her base attack damage was 1,040. So that's an 8% damage attack increase. So this is going to be huge. Ems probably will be able to counter tanks now. Before, in the past, she couldn't. She's been terrible for a long time. The casuals think she's good, but she's been awful. So she's going to pack a lot more threat now. All 3 of these buffs, I think, will make a really good impact in the meta. So now to round off the video, we've got 2 reworks to talk about, and they're 2 reworks I'm very excited for. We've got 2 F-tier brawlers that are going to receive a huge rework. So first off, we have Brawl. So we'll have to see Pika's reaction on this. He probably will miss the old OG Brawl, but he's just been so outdated. He's needed this. So his super now has a variable distance, so you're able to move it like Mo and Ollie. And then I'm not too sure what that circle, I'm guessing that they didn't actually show it in the clip. There's like a circle at the end of it. Is that like if you hit someone within that, it deals an extra bit of damage? I'm not too sure, or that's just it means he's going to stop his super. I don't know what that means, but anyways, whenever he hits a brawler during his charge, so say if you went for a full charge and then you hit someone along the way, it will fully stop Brawl from charging, and he will slow nearby enemies. But you got to remember as well, it does knock them back, so it will help a little bit. Say for example, I don't know, it's pretty weird because normally with Brawl you probably have a stomp every single time and you should just be able to get directly on top of them and just quickly kill them. But I think there'll be some cool plays with it. It's definitely needed. And then his gadget Stomper is being reworked, so it now stuns nearby enemies instead of slows, because the slow is built into his main super, so it now stuns them. So that's a lot better actually. So it stuns them, you're able just to take them down without receiving damage. I think Brawl would be very good in the rework. I feel like it might be a bit overrated to begin with, but it's definitely one that's been needed for a long time. I'm excited to try this out. But the second rework is with Doug, and this one is absolutely huge. At first, I was like, this is a little bit underwhelming, but when I thought about it, this has potential to break the game. But when you think about it with Doug, when he was first released, everyone was so scared. They didn't think he would be like broken, but just a mechanic of being able to revive a teammate, very broken. He's got 3 reworks here. So the first one is with his healing. His healing now charges his super. So they've added the berry trait where, you know, with berry you want to receive damage, so then you're able to cycle super. The same will be with Doug. You'll be literally walking up to people wanting to receive a lot of damage, so then you can have a free super, because now the fast food star power has been reworked, so it heals Doug up fully when he revives a teammate. That's just insane. It's not like at first you might not think that's crazy broken, but just think for the way that Doug is, like you can just throw this out for a teammate, he's gonna die, he's gonna respawn, and if you're nearly dead, giving you full HP, you could literally be at like 100 health and you can get back to 10,000, which is insane. And then the third rework is that his super now homes in on teammates, but I'm not talking like a slight home. It basically is unmissable by the looks of things. So Yeah, Doug, I think that's scary, mainly because of the trait, actually, when you think about it. Like, the other two are pretty good, but it's the healing trait. Still, he doesn't have a lot of damage and no way to close teammates, but I just think there's going to be a lot of cheesy strategies, and I think people would underestimate the Doug one personally, because it's Doug. They don't take Doug seriously, but now we're going to take him seriously. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I didn't cover any skins or like a few other things like the game modes. The game modes look cool, but it's just so much to dive through this Brawl Talk. I think this is a very, very good Brawl Talk. At first, I was like, well, I wouldn't say it was overwhelming. I was expecting a collab and other things like that. But also with the Angel versus Demons event that went on, and with skins, like, I think this has to be like a 9.9 update. I think 9 out of 10 update personally. Maybe like a cool collab would have been good as well, but it's just so many layers to it. I'm hoping there's going to be some good balance changes and stuff like that. But 2 new brawlers that are really good. We've got records which look very, very good. Good hypercharges, good reworks. I'm excited for this one. So hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for all future sneak peek content, because I'll be breaking down the balance changes and all other update information hopefully tomorrow. So yeah, that's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.